on Mondays? I know
No.
a lot of restaurants are not.
No, it's probably my favourite day because actually I just do stuff on my own and I've got no one else around.
Yeah.
So it's my time to like go in, think about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Are you a dreamer?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make it somehow. Past the fire, past the sounds. Moonshine through the clouds. Saddle up, 'cause there's no stopping me now.
And welcome to another episode of Living Well Together.
Big life in a small town.
That's how we are. And his town's even smaller. We
Yeah.
have got a great guest with us
Oh
tonight.
my gosh. And he's got the best accent ever, you
And
guys.
on the fly, we totally just robbed him out of his place of business when we were in recently. And it's like, hey, guess what you'll be doing Tuesday?
Oh, no, you invited, you didn't order.
Yeah, there was no strong arm.
No.
But we were really excited to make the option. So anyway, with us today on this episode, we've got Adrian Shergill, who is the owner-proprietor of the Last Queen Gastropub
Yes.
in Enon, Ohio.
Enon, Ohio. Do we know is that a village?
The village of Enon, yes.
Yeah.
It's
The village of
village.
Enon.
the population dictates that,
Yeah.
right?
Do we know how many?
Oh, I think in the village itself it's about 2.5, and then I think
Okay.
in the area around it's about 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. But yeah, the village proper
Yeah.
has how many?
Right.
It has to be under,
5,000?
I think, 5,000
Yeah,
to be
I think that's what
considered village.
because of Yellow Spring.
But it's right over the hill. Like we could
Yeah.
hit a golf ball to that community.
Which is so convenient when we want a delicious meal and we can just go over the hill and to the Last Queen.
Well, before we talk about the menu,
Yeah.
which we're going to,
Yes.
let's get a little bit about you. Tell us about how
You got
Adrian
here.
landed in Enon, Ohio, of all places.
Yeah.
From home.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So my wife was an Air Force child. So hence you've got Right Pat just down the road. And then she had family members in and around the Enon area. She went to Greenon High School for, I think, 3 years. It wasn't a huge amount of time.
Yeah.
And my family and I have moved backwards and forwards on the continent a couple of times. We'd like to spice things up.
Yeah.
On the go.
Hey, what should we do today? Let's get a shipping container and go across the sea.
Go to America.
Is that what you have to do when you go back and forth? It's a shipping container?
Yeah.
Wow.
Although the best way to do it is just not own any belongings.
Oh.
And then you could just get on a plane.
No
the
mad.
gypsy method.
I'm all for that.
Yeah.
It's just the rest of the crew aren't.
They want their things.
Bring
They want their
a change of clothes. We're getting on a plane.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Socks and underwear. Anyway,
That's incredible. And so where in the UK are you from?
so I was raised in a city called Southampton.
Okay.
And that's where my family and I have lived on a couple occasions. When I was a high school teacher there,
Okay.
and our 2 oldest girls were going to college in Michigan,
Okay.
and we had an opportunity to lease the space that belonged to a family member and have artistic input into how it looked. And we thought, well, we're not getting any younger.
Yeah.
We're not too old, but
Right.
if we're going to do it, now's the time to do it. And so that's what brought us to Enon. Obviously, a lot of prayers, a lot of people. We talked to a lot of people, had a lot of counseling, a lot of, it wasn't just like,
Yeah. Just
Good for you.
guidance. I mean, it's nice that you did take that counsel into consideration before you made such a big move.
Yeah. I've got a group of people, probably about 4 or 5 people, that I don't make huge decisions without consulting.
I
Board of
love
directors.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Directors.
A spiritual guidance
Yeah.
board of directors. Yeah.
100%.
I
Perfect.
think that's phenomenal. So, just kind of a side note: is Southampton? Do they do soccer?
They do.
Football?
Yeah, they do.
So
They do.
Ted
soccer.
Lasso was he there?
Actually, I think Southampton were mentioned in one of his seasons.
thought
Yeah, I
so.
think they were.
Did your parents used to live on a road coming out of Enon called Southampton
Is that
Road?
right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
You went to Ted Lasso.
Small
Yeah.
world, yeah.
I went to his parents.
yeah.
That's amazing. And so you guys have lived in Enon now for 2 years, 3 years?
So we don't actually live in Enon at the
Okay,
moment
okay.
because we're still renting.
Okay.
We've only been back 2.5 years, and with the restaurant, we just really couldn't get our heads around
Yeah.
where we wanted to settle.
Sure.
So we did live in Enon for a period, then renting was so hard to find, and then we had to find another house.
Right.
So we're in Beaver Creek right now. But
Yeah.
So you had family that owned the Cool Spot. Isn't that what that was called before you got it? The restaurant was in that space used to be like an ice cream shop.
oh yeah, that's
the
right.
Cool Spot.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Cool Spot ice cream
Right.
and bicycles.
And it
And
looks
bicycles,
very,
it
yes,
was, yeah.
It was.
The girls used
Yeah,
to go
girls
there.
used to go there for ice cream. Yeah. Very different now.
It is very different.
Don't let me
Yeah.
interrupt. Keep
Yeah.
going. So we're back
Yeah.
in the U.S. We've decided to do this big venture with
Big
lots
venture.
of support.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you look at something as big as this, you have to come to the idea that what's the worst thing that can happen,
I love that.
and that is you fail and you start again.
Right.
And learn. Right.
Nobody's going to harvest your organs if you don't make it.
There you go.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
How did you decide on the name?
Oh yeah, right. So we had a rule that everybody in the family, so my three girls, my wife and I, we all had to agree on the name.
Okay.
So loads of names went into a hat, and they were pulled out if one person said no, we didn't like it. And so right, everybody had to be happy with it.
Okay.
And I remember I was picking Maggie up at the train station in Southampton because she'd commute to London, and we were stuck in traffic, it's pouring down in rain, and we just sitting there talking.
Yeah.
And then somewhere in the conversation, one of us said, "I wonder if Elizabeth will be the last queen."
Oh.
And we both paused, and we were like, "That could be a good name for the
I
pub, couldn't it?"
love
awesome.
that.
And we're like, "Well, we have to take it home to the kids."
Yes.
Right.
And at first they were like, "Oh, I'm not sure." 2 or 3 days later, everyone was like, "Yeah, that's it. That's the one."
I
Beautiful.
think that's
Yeah.
phenomenal.
It's a nice homage to Elizabeth, but it's
It
subtle.
is.
It's not obvious
Right.
Uh-huh.
until you know it. And then you're like, "Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
okay."
Right.
And now
Yeah.
everybody will know it. And it's a
everyone
really
will know
cool
it.
name.
Yeah.
And it's a great spot because it doesn't look like anything. I mean, you guys did an extensive amount of renovation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
How long from start to finish? We bought this or we got this and then it's open for business.
Well, COVID hit.
Okay.
So I think we might have initially started in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
We hadn't really done an awful lot by then, so we paused.
Mm.
So it wasn't like that stressful. It
Yeah.
was just we put on pause, and then it was up and running by April 2021. 22.
Those years are a blur.
2022.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I never call it COVID. I always just call it the lockdown.
And the lockdown.
But I remember calling. I mean, we knew you were coming. We knew that there was going to be this grand opening that you guys were having. And I kept calling, and it's like, you guys just had to be really careful about when you did open. And then finally it was like, yeah, we're open.
We're
So we
open.
came scurrying over. It was great.
Yeah.
How did you decide on the menu?
Yeah, that's a difficult one
Yeah.
actually. Because if you like cooking,
I do.
then you know that there's lots of things.
Yes.
So there was I did a lot of restaurant sort of podcasts of various different, very successful restaurant people, and he slipped my name. Ramsay, Gordon
Yes,
Ramsay.
yes.
So one of the things that Gordon Ramsay was very specific about: don't have a large menu. Says have
Yeah.
a small menu and master it.
Okay.
So really, when we started looking at the blueprint, we looked at the things that we'd want to cook, and then we just shrunk it down to what we thought was probably the most practical space to start. Because the menu has grown in the last year and a half.
Okay. Yeah.
But,
There are some new things on there. We have our favorites. The halloumi is just so
Right,
divine.
right.
And you guys get bangers and mash every time we go. Yeah, that's your favorite. So did you bring some things from England and then some things you just kind of came up with
So
on your own?
I mean, I suppose fish and chips is fish and chips, but even something like that, you got to do it right.
Yeah.
So
It's beautiful.
a lot of the crew to begin with were like teasing me because I'd be in there mixing different batters and different flours and all that, and they're like, "You're mad," and I said, "No, it's got to be right."
It matters.
it
Well, the
matters.
that's one of the things. It's
Yeah.
not like you're just getting regular. It's not. I don't want to say,
Drive-through food.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not that.
Yeah,
The
no, it
quality of
is.
the food is exquisite every time.
Thank
and,
you.
Yeah.
And it's never the same. It's always, you can always count on it being top notch, but there's always going to be some variance as well.
Yeah. No, thank you for saying that. Yeah, I appreciate it. So shepherd's pie has been something that I've cooked for years and sort of developed.
Okay.
My culinary sort of, I don't know whether you want to call them skills or ideas, is so I'm half Indian.
Okay.
And so one side of the family, all we would eat is Indian food.
I was going to say that's what, and Caitlin got the curry when we were there the other
Right.
day.
Yeah.
And then my grandmother was a phenomenal cook.
Yeah.
She made everything. So when it came to like shepherd's pie and the bangers and mash and that sort of side,
Mm-hmm.
she had a sort of great influence over me. And then of course you move into your own space.
Right.
Right.
Your
But
flair.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but there's those and yeah, so and it's just you keep playing around, you keep playing around. Now my wife, what she's very good at doing,
Uh-huh.
I don't know if I want to mention her name because she hates me mentioning her name in
That's okay, you
anything
don't
that's
need to.
media-wise.
We can
You
add
don't
it.
need to. No,
Well-
you don't need to. Yeah.
She is very good. She's not creative in the sense that she can come up with an idea,
Okay.
but she can tell you when something's good or bad.
Yeah.
So she's very good when I make a dish.
Yeah.
She'd say, that's not quite there.
Yeah.
So she was, and it,
Nice.
yeah,
Good feedback, though. Honest.
yeah, very healthy.
And I love
feedback.
that you're open to the feedback.
Sometimes.
So it never hurts your feelings.
But that's a good
What does
point.
she
You know,
know?
one of the things that I know is important to you guys is culture, not just in your relationship in your marriage, but in the people that run the front of the house, people that run the back of the house.
Right.
Yeah.
You're growing a team of people, and I don't know most of their names. I could identify them by
Yeah.
either their tattoos or their ball caps, right? But I noticed that the people that come stay, like you've got some long timers, and that if you weren't creating a place for them to feel safe and a good environment for work, they would not stay. The
Yeah.
restaurant industry is famous for people coming and going.
Right, right.
So you got to be. What's your recipe for culture in the place?
I suppose, I think to some degree, that's where age is probably quite important because you've kind of lived a bit of life and you've been through good points, bad points, and you've seen good examples of how to run something and bad examples. So
Right.
I suppose that for me in my stage of life, having gone through some of the things that I've done, I think what was so important was to have a culture that was as healthy as you can make it. But I also think that, and again, I've only been doing this for a short period of time, but from observation, I think there is more often than not in the restaurant industry, there's not a good culture,
Yeah, it's true.
especially in the back of the house.
And
Okay.
we've been in the restaurant industry.
We have,
We
and,
would agree.
but it was back in the day, and it was better then. I mean,
Way back in the
way back in the 1900s. Well, you've done an excellent job from what we can tell. I mean, they make us feel so at home, very accommodating. It's always an excellent experience when we come there.
Well, that's good. I mean, one of the important things for me as well, and I've said this to multiple employees, if there comes a day where you're not happy,
Yeah,
let's have a conversation.
right.
And it could be within that conversation, then I respect the fact that it's time for you to find somewhere else. But we really want people to feel like it's part of the family.
Yeah.
Right.
And yes, it's work. Yes, you're
Yeah.
getting paid. Yes, there's expectations. But let's do this as a team. And Maggie and I don't see it like as ours.
Yeah.
And we don't talk about it as being mine or
Yeah.
hers. It's ours when we say the team is
Right.
ours. So if we do something, we all own it.
And we have
That's
that exact same
awesome.
culture.
Yeah,
It's something we work to create as well. So I totally get that.
Yeah, and you guys have done a great job, especially considering that it's a restaurant environment.
Right.
Have you ever had anybody join your team that you knew would not be there long because they were kind of a rising star? Like I see something in you that you need to pit stop here, maybe learn a few things, but move up and on. Any of that yet? Because I see it. I mean, I imagine it will come.
I think so. What? Not exactly. What we actually started to do, and this was probably a little over a year ago, and we played around with it, is that we were. I don't really know how to say this. I think there's a void in a certain demographic and age group of wanting to better yourself, and again, just out of observation, I'm sort of, I think a lot of that goes on in the restaurant industry. So what we've actually started to do, we've got an apprenticeship program, which we started about 6 months ago. So we've got one younger lad that's doing apprenticeship, but we actually had a guinea pig prior to him. So we ended up really fortunate by having some high school kids
Yes.
that wanted to learn and they didn't have bad habits. and they were eager to learn, and they were happy in the environment they were in. And so what I would say is that we've got some kids that are working for us that we can see will go on to do great things.
Right.
But they're at school right now, so we've
Yeah.
got them tied down
Yeah.
until they graduate.
Right. Right. Nope. I never seen
That
it as
is
well.
so cool as far as creating an apprenticeship program. And are they learning all the areas of the restaurant business?
They can
with you?
learn whatever they want.
Okay.
And so it will be down to the pace that they go. I mean, there has to be some, you don't want to go too slow,
Yeah.
because then and we'll reward people based on how,
Merit.
yeah. So if they learn this skill and they
Yeah.
learn that skill and they tick that box and so on and so forth.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
What is the difference between a pub in England and a pub or a bar in the U.S.?
Or a gastropub. Yeah.
What? Yeah. Is there a difference in the culture?
Yeah, I suppose one could argue, a bar in America is a bar in America, and that you can't really compare the two because you've got two very different cultural spaces.
Okay.
But what I would say is the historical idea of a pub is a place home from home.
Oh.
So back in the day, and you will find even today that the reason why pubs are so old is because you would have a building in the village and people couldn't afford to have people over to their places.
Oh.
So what they would do is they would have this sort of place set up, and then it kind of just became like the common. There is kind of a joke that for every village in England there should be a church and a pub.
It sounds like it.
It's not a bad rule everywhere you go. We
So-
should have such a rule.
So a home away from home, is that?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
because obviously if you go to someone else's home, you'll put in someone else out,
Yeah.
and then there's always when do you leave and all that.
Yeah.
Whereas if you just have a common space,
Right.
then you choose to
Come
come
and
and
go.
go as you feel. But
Yeah.
it should feel like yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
so special.
Hey, would
I
you
like
just
that.
please go to bed? These people are trying to leave.
So a bar in America compared to a pub in England, or what you've created here in Enon as a gastropub, because it does feel very, I mean, when we've been in there, you have regulars that hang out there
Yeah,
a good
yeah.
bit of the time,
Yeah,
right?
we do. Yeah.
Yeah, that's their home away from home.
We're very grateful for them. As well,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm
Right
sure
on.
you are.
Now, what I would say is the word gastro
Yes.
is so. If you don't have much money and
Mm-hmm.
you want something to eat, you perhaps go to like a basic pub in Britain.
Okay.
And usually now it's students, my daughters, when they're in
Mm-hmm.
England, they'll tend to eat in a pub because it's, it's fairly cheap.
Yeah.
But the idea of a gastropub is where you go, you take that pub concept,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't serve just regular pub food.
Okay.
You make food that has
It's
been built
elevated.
from scratch and elevated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cut above. How much, and maybe this isn't a fair question, I'll put you on the spot a little bit, but what percentage would you say of the food that you serve has a local connection to it?
It's difficult because it depends on what the plate is.
Yeah.
Some plates are going to be maybe 70% and some may be like 30 depending on
Right.
what you're sourcing. But since we've opened, our local source has increased.
Yeah.
The issue is supply.
Sure.
Because you
Absolutely.
can't put yourself, I would like to use more, but when I've said to certain farms, and they're like, I don't know if we can guarantee that.
Well, plus it's Ohio. So like fresh salads and things like that are going to be a little bit harder to come by
Sure.
locally.
Yeah, but you can't swing a dead cat without hitting a cow in this area. Like getting beef.
That's yeah. I mean, you would have to be crazy not to get local beef.
Right.
Yeah.
And we've got some good local farmers that are raising good food.
Very good local farmers. Yeah, and cheese and dairies and
Eggs.
all that. Yeah,
All of it.
all that kind
Right.
of stuff.
What is the most popular menu item?
Fish and chips.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
by quite a margin actually.
Okay.
Yeah,
But it's such a traditional, it's so traditional for an English pub, right?
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what is the story of Chuggy? There's a burger called the Chuggy Burger. I kind of, between the Chuggy, and then I want to know about Abel as well, because I like them both. And I saw there's a new one. Is it Hannah? Hannah Burger, something like that.
Holly.
Holly, which is a veggie burger, right?
Yes.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm sticking with the cows for now. But what's the Chuggy story?
I might get into trouble if I tell you.
No, it's okay. You can tell us.
It's
Would you
so
get in trouble by somebody in your family?
It's my nickname to my middle child.
Oh, that's what she calls you?
That's what I call her.
That's what you call her.
That's
Aw.
awesome.
So,
That's so
well,
sweet.
then how's Abel come into the game?
so Abel actually is 4 girls that I taught.
Oh,
So actually one of them is my middle daughter because they were a group. So it's Alex, Lydia, Bella, and Ella.
ABLE.
And they used to call themselves Abel because they were all
I love
very
that.
close.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we called.
Oh my gosh, I just love that
See, this
that
is-
it all
this-
has like meaning.
P.S. It's
you
delicious.
nailed the details, right? It makes it so much more special.
And the fries.
Oh.
You guys always, I mean, they're never wrong. They're always right. They're not undercooked. They're not overcooked.
They are
Are they
perfect.
local potatoes?
Unfortunately, no, they're
No?
from Idaho. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's where
Well,
they
they're
do
classics.
potatoes. Yeah.
yeah.
But killer. I mean, everything's good.
Yeah, you do those really special. Are those like double fried?
Yeah. So
Okay.
that actually was the longest thing
Mm.
that it took me to crack
Okay.
because they're double blanched.
Mm-hmm.
And it was about how to double blanch them in a practical space in a practical time. And I would go in there with a clock and do this and change the temperatures of this and change it. And then we eventually got there, and everyone was like, "This is it. Let's not mess
I was
with it
gonna
anymore.
say,
We've
I'm
got it."
glad you messed with it.
And in fact, when our general manager started, he's like, "Why are you doing that to fries?" And then he tried one. He's like, "That's why you're doing it to
Yeah.
fries."
Yeah.
Yes, I want to thank you personally, and so does my granddaughter, Honey. She loved them too.
Yeah, they're delicious. What is his name, your general manager?
Matt.
Matt.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And he does a great job.
Oh, he's
When you're
fantastic.
not in the building,
Yeah.
he's making sure the
Yeah.
customers are taken care of. I was in there. It was when the Tour de France was on. You were out of town, and I needed a place to eat. And
Is that where you went?
I went in somewhere that felt like home.
Home away from home.
But I wanted to put on the Tour de France, and the little gal that was behind the counter,
Yeah.
she was kind of flipping through the TV, and she found something about France. And so I saw this beautiful
Aw.
castle in French countryside, but it was not the Tour de France. And so Matt took care of it. He's like, ding.
That was nice.
Good
of
man.
him.
And then Mike Lane and I went over there one night
Oh,
too.
did you?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So not
That's
that I'm
awesome.
haunting places, but there's always
Yeah.
2 or 3 restaurants that know when she's out of town.
Okay.
One of them's yours.
Well,
So
that's-
I'm curious what your most unusual request has been.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've no idea. As in,
Like food,
For food?
or
Food.
drinks or a special beverage or something like that.
I mean, it's not really unusual. Occasionally, we get people that ask for the black pudding,
Okay.
which is,
Yeah.
it's kind of an unusual product.
Do you guys, you don't.
No. I
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
I've got
you.
if it's on a plate, I'd eat it, but I'm not going to go out of my way. And then the other one is something called mushy peas. I don't know if you've heard of mushy peas. So
And if they're mushy peas,
that's
that what they are?
Yeah, that's kind of what they are. Yeah, and they used to be very big at fish and chip shops. So people get fish and chips with mushy peas. So I get some Brits that haven't been home for like 30 years and go, "Oh, mushy peas."
Do you get a lot of Brits that find you because of who you are?
Yeah, we get an awful lot of Brits. It really surprised me because at one point there seemed to be like 2 or 3 new every week, and I'd be like, "Do you live around here?" "Oh yeah, we live in Fairborn, or we live here, or we live there," and I'm like, "Wow."
We've got some people that we take care of that they're in the MG. They have MG
Yeah,
Car Club.
that's
Did they
right.
meet there?
Yeah,
Have
they
been?
come up. Yeah, they bring their cars up.
That would not surprise me. Yeah.
do you ever go out to eat yourself?
I do.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm not a good person to go. It is because you can't switch off, right? If you've
Right.
worked in a restaurant, so there's a couple of places that I like
Yeah.
to go because I'm really impressed with their food.
Okay, and that's a good thing because as an owner and a chef yourself, you have particular standards,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
But we like to support local as well. I mean,
Right on.
we just avoid chains
Yep.
Yeah.
if we,
Same.
If you can.
if you can.
I get it. We're on the same club.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's definitely our first choice if we can. Where can our listeners find you?
So it's 210
Mhm.
East Main Street, Enon, Ohio.
Wonderful. You have a website too,
We do have a website, yeah.
and the menu's on there as well, isn't
It
it?
is, yes.
It's so
It's
good, you guys.
delish.
I hope everybody goes out to see Adrian and his team for a home away from home experience. You can wave to them, Adrian.
Hello.
Anything else that you want to
Anything else you want people to know?
Yeah.
No, I mean that's
One of the things we always ask guests that are going to join us is to give us like some music cues, like
Yeah.
what's your favorite music, and then usually we have it queued up when you're rolling in. And today we were kind of behind the curve, and when we were in there the other day, Zeppelin was on. We were listening to Led Zeppelin when we were in there the other day.
Which is awesome. I mean, it's
I wouldn't
classic
have guessed
music,
Stevie
right?
Wonder,
Yeah.
but I do like that
Yeah,
too. Yeah, nicely done. No, one of the things you can do for us is if you like what we're doing,
Yeah.
go to your subscribe button
Subscribe.
and give us a review.
Yeah, please.
And let people know, because our commitment is to take people like you guys, local,
Yeah.
and take your circle of influence and bring it into the next guy's circle and that guy's circle. And so we're really working to expand
and
kind of
build a
just
community.
a vision here in the Miami Valley of small community people that are doing big things.
Yeah, and shine a spotlight on you.
one thing that I would like to say,
Yeah.
which I think is really important
Mhm.
for the Last Queen,
Yes.
is that one of the things that irritates me is when you see people that have potential
Yeah.
and they don't want to use it.
Mm.
So that's something that we really push our staff is like,
Yeah.
always want you to strive to another level.
I love that.
I know that's kind of a bit out because you were finishing what you were doing.
No.
I'll chuck that in there.
No,
Perfect.
I think it's super important, and that's a good way to end too, because you're helping them rise up, right?
Hopefully.
Yeah,
That's the name of this game.
and you're setting the standard by having them watch you and how you and your family have lived your lives, and set this up for your community.
Best way to lead is by example, isn't it?
Exactly, it really
Servant
is.
leadership, I think, is the popular phrase these
Servant
days.
Is
leadership.
that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, like you're not going to ask your team to do anything you haven't done in that building.
100%.
Yeah, and that's how we
And it's
roll
obvious
as well.
too.
Yeah.
It's obvious. It's just it's a delight to come and see.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You can keep saying that.
The whiskey
Delight,
list
delight,
is great. They
delight.
got a great whiskey selection. They got a great beer local
That's what I was
selection.
gonna say. Yeah.
I don't know about the wine list, but everything on the shelf is top notch as well.
Well, and the other thing is, Jenny really wanted me to ask you. Jenny is from Enon, and she really wanted me to ask you if you would do either croquet lessons, not necessarily at your place. She said there's a park in Enon that could be used, or cricket. She said that would be a really fun adventure for Enon.
Yeah, I might not be very good at teaching croquet, but I could give a go at cricket.
Okay, all right. Well, maybe we can get, maybe
We'll
it'll
have it
be
back
the
on
next
another
pickleball.
episode, and we'll all have like black eyes and broken bones.
I
We
love it. Thank
So-
you so much for
Yeah,
being here,
thanks.
Adrian. This
Thanks.
was so fun.
Well, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, it's
appreciate it.
so great. We
Here
good?
we
Graham?
go.
Okay, all righty. See you, friends.
That's all.
I love what you guys have done with your little area there.
Yeah, that's really.
Maggie's done all that. Really,
So
to be
bright.
honest.
It's
It's
so
great.
good.
She's done all that.
Yeah.
Did I tell you about a little project that we've got going? as
No.
well? So we bought a double decker bus.
Oh, you did?
Sweet.
Like one of the red ones from England?
Well, I mean, I got it down in Pigeon Forge, so it had all these advertising things off. So
Yeah.
we're pulling all the plastic off it, and
Right.
then we'll paint it completely red, and
Yeah.
then we'll have like the Last Queen
That is
symbol
awesome.
and some
Yep.
bits and pieces.
What will you do with it?
So what we're thinking of doing is the top half will be seating.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you'll park it at the restaurant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, we've got something else going on as well, which will be revealed probably later on this year.
Nice.
And you're not going to tell us?
No.
Dang!